I think you brought a perfect topic that I'm very interested about the let go. What is let go and how can someone let go? I think this is one of the I was doing research. I think this is one of the biggest problem of this generation. It's very hard to let go. What is the let go and how how can we practice to let go?
So I go over what can you control, what can you not control. And so like it's one of those things of let go is, and again, this is hard for everybody, it's not just this generation. It's that can I change it? If you can't change it, you gotta let it go. You gotta just you gotta admit defeat, or you have to admit that didn't happen. And so part of this is, and I'm a type of person where I will, and there's difference of letting go versus forgetting. I will let go, but I'll still think about like, what if? Like, and sometimes like 6, 7 years later, I go, I think I know how I could have solved that. And so sometimes you're just, like technology, we can't do this now, but in a year from now we could do this. But we can't do it now. And so letting go is sometimes realizing in the moment, where are we at? What are we able to do? And so I'm a firm believer of like, I'd rather be very much in the moment versus if I'm holding on to something, I'm again not being meaningful. I'm not having intimate connections to people. I'm mad about something else. Let it go.
Oh,
Because I just realized it's an anchor and it slows you down.
okay. So let me ask in different way. You say let it go. So I think there is a very thin line between let it go and giving up. For example, you said there is something I want to do, and first I think you said one great thing that first I we need to make the list like what is on my control and what is not on my control.
Yes.
Despite that, when I think I cannot do this one, it feel like I'm giving up. So how can you what is that thin line between the giving up and let it go?
So I'm not a big fan of giving up, but I'm a fan of saying I can't, like if it's like I want to jump on top of this building. This is what, a 4-story building.
Yeah.
I'm on the ground and I'm gonna jump. There's just a place where like, I can get to the roof, but I can't jump on top. So part of this is being realistic of like sometimes in life, where I'm just not at a place where either I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge. And so sometimes it's like I have to build that up to get there. I think sometimes people want to like do the elevator to the top. Like I want to get to here. A lot of times it's the idea that you have to sometimes, I'm not giving up, but I'm also being realistic. If you say I want to go home to Nepal, like okay, but it's going to take. I mean, depending on how you get there, it's going to take a lot of time. If you take a boat, it's a long boat. If you take a plane, it's like you just can't go. I want to get there. It's this allowing of like it takes a while to get to this place, and so I would say a little bit of it is not giving up. It's like don't be impatient, and that sometimes it isn't the right time and the right moment to do something. You ask about kind of my career. One thing I've learned being as long in my career is like there's a time and like this. I always have things in my mind like, is this the right time to do this? And sometimes I've had ideas that I really want to do, but I know the right people aren't there or the right situation's not right, and I'll have to wait 5 or 6 years to go, and that's what I'm going to do. Like a couple of years, we started working with athletics a lot more through the counseling center, but I waited for 11 years to have the right person in the right situation, the right setup. And I was like, now we're ready, let's go. So I was always wanting to do it. I didn't give up, but I was patient because I knew I couldn't get it done with the situation it was before.
Okay, perfect. I see like you have so much clarity in your own thought, and I know you are more experienced than before I was born. But I want to ask, so what are the practice, what are the things that you do nowadays for your personal growth? You said you have a growth mindset, so you learn from the people you meet. What are the other things that you do to grow yourself? Do you feed yourself any other information, anything? What is that?
When I say this, I am always in my role. I'm seen as the expert. Um, but truthfully, almost everything I give away to people is something like a person like you has said. And I'm like, oh, how do I give that gift to somebody else? So I never think I'm this expert. I'm always trying to be a sponge of taking in new information or new ideas. So the idea, I don't think I'm done. And whoever I'm talking to, I just had a conversation with my daughter last night about something. I'm like going, wow, my 19-year-old daughter, I should be smarter than her. But like she said something last time, I'm going, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Like that's, and so I'm never in that place where I'm assured. So I'm reading a lot, I'm listening a lot, I'm observing a lot, and I'm always looking for, is there a better way? I'm an inventor by heart. I'm a computer programmer by heart. But that comes about because I'm always like, how do you write the code better? How do you do this in a better way? How do you, like, math is one, you can solve the problem, but how do you do it more efficiently? What is calculus? Calculus is algebra on steroids. It's like, how do you do this in a better, efficient way that you get more information? It's the same answer, but it's more efficient. And so I'm always looking for efficiency.
You just now you said very interesting things, that your daughter says something and you thought that is better and you embrace that. I think this is very hard for the I have seen this in the, wait, let me say like this. I have seen this having very hard issue in the people, because if they are on some upper level, they, even though they know that even the lower level people are saying something, or less experienced people, first it's very hard for them to accept that they can be right. The way you said that, how my daughter can be, she's in 19 years, I should be very smarter. So how, but I see like you are very, like you can embrace if someone is saying smart, you take that one. How you are like very grounded, very, okay, how you are like very grounded.
No, so the one word I use all the time is humble. And humble is a mixture of being kind of like, I'm just an average person, but humble also is the sense of I really know what I'm doing. And so I don't, I feel like I don't have to prove to people that I'm smart. I want to be smart. And so I'm not trying to give an image of smart. And so whenever I talk to somebody, it's always like a level of like, how do I absorb what they're giving to me? And so for me, I think great leaders are ones that are always like, I know there's probably better ideas. I will say, I don't have great ideas, but I'm a great stealer. I hear someone say something, go, that's really cool. How do I do this in a different way? Like it was a couple months ago, I was at a conference or a training, and someone was talking about there's something in psychology called adversive childhood experiences. And it basically talks about if there's negative things that happen in your life. And then if you have a lot of adversive childhood experiences, sometimes your psychological well-being is not as high. And I was sitting there and I was going, and it's called the ACE, ACE. And I sat there and went, what are adversive college experiences? Like, and so I started like brainstorming, like, what if I looked at like, if like you have like, you don't have good friends at college, like, how do I help people solve that versus adversive childhood, like where I work, like, if something happened when you're 5, I can do nothing about it. But if you're 18, I can maybe help people avoid adversive college experiences. And that's where so I'm always in this creativity mode and never thinking I'm at a finished product or things like that. I'm always trying to do it better. And and I always think of like a high level athlete or a high level performer. You're just trying to be better every time. I'm not competing with anybody else. I'm just trying to be a better me.
Wow, I like the way you think. Now I'm jealous to ask this question, and a lot of people would be. I think you see the people emotion, people behavior very clearly. Has this helped you person in your personal life, like making relation with your daughter, your wife, and like do you really get any special advantage in comparison to the people who are in different other professional?
The best part of my job is I become a better person because I have to do the stuff I tell people to do, or it doesn't feel very genuine. And so I steal, and everybody who comes to I cannot, the amount of people that I quote, or I don't sometimes say their name, obviously, because of confidentiality, but like the ideas, and like whenever I meet somebody, I'm always like, tell me about you, like, what's interesting? Tell me about you. How did you get here? I'm always looking for secrets of life because everybody has them and they sometimes don't know how good their secrets are.
Okay, you said you want to hear the everyone's secret of life, but a lot of time when people go, I might be 200% wrong because I'm throwing based on my understanding or whatever knowledge. A lot of people go to the counseling to, instead of throwing a lot of good secret, they always go to pour their feelings, their bad thought, a kind of, what is that?
Angst or
Eh,
yeah.
yeah, like non-negative, like negative things, or So how does that affect you? Like if you are
Yeah.
okay, well let me say
Yeah.
one thing. One of my professor one time told that I don't want to become doctor because if I see patient every day, I think I will be sick. But if you are seeing the patient every day in different form, how does that affect you?
I've been doing this for so long. That's a tough question for me because it's kind of like it's like asking a fish, "How's the water?" Like, what do you mean? What is water? I swear a minute. I'm just in this thing. I don't know. And so I never take ownership of someone else's pain. And I think when people, I've learned when people are able to share it, I'm able to separate myself. I have a really good compartmentalization of like, something, like someone's like mom just died or something horrible like that. And I don't go into my own world. I just experience their world. It's like going to a movie. I go to a movie and I go, what? I'm a crier in a movie. I get all in the movie, but I leave the movie and I go, that was a movie, and I can let it go. But I think of people, but I don't absorb. My sponge gets wrung out all the time, and because I go home like, what's the next thing I got to do? What's the next thing I focus on? And I realized like my mom used to have a saying is when my mom was on the verge a long time ago when she was not doing well and eventually died, and she said, life is for the living. You got it. I'm dying. You're living. Go keep living. And that was really powerful.
Brian, let me go. I want to share one thing. I did not watch. I used to watch a lot of movie, but nowadays I barely watch a movie. But like if I watch a movie where someone has heartbreak up, even though I cry in the movie, and that movie affect me at least for a week, even sometime for a month. Like really. One time I was watching a new movie. It was like Lapata, and I watched and I was crying so badly. So I thought, okay, let me write what I was feeling. I wrote 10 pages. That was so crazy.
That's why I love movies or love music. It affects me, but at the point where I'm always looking for like just enough information or little things that I could use into my life and help other people. So like for me, I always tell people if you're living life right, you're crying a decent amount because that means you're really there, you're really watching the movie. That's a good thing.
Oh, thank you. I don't want that things in my life. So, but in the beginning you said there is a great things like you said you are very good in compartmentalization. Like you
Yep.
can separate yourself. What you want to, what the message or what you want. How will you help people like me who can also compartmentalize themselves from the situation? How can we do that?
I think it's again, this goes into letting it go. And this gets the concept of like, it's like you're talking about like tutoring. I'm not doing well in this class. Well, I'm always like, don't let it roll into your other classes. If you're struggling in one class, that's bad. But at the same time, that's all it is. Keep doing other things in your life well. And so one of the things that I've always been, it's like I think of like kind of a like architecture like a dam. You've got to create these walls so that if one wall fails, the next wall holds it back. And so, in certain things in life, all the walls fall down. It's appropriate. But I'm always a firm believer, like, how do you create it where this bad thing happens or this negative thing happens, and how you feel it, but like, I'm gonna move on to this. And so, I really try, and I would tell anybody to do is like, not to fake it, but if I have something going on in my life, I try not to let you know or be different with you. I come here and then it's there. I don't let it go, but I'm like, if it doesn't fit the situation, I can't absorb with it. So I'm just a big, just getting people to exercise the ability that one thing over here doesn't mean this thing has to be impacted. And trying to be in a spot where like this still is real, but I'm not going to roll it over to here. Like, I mean, some people like, they get a bad grade and they go back and they're like sad in the room and the roommate gets mad at them and then something, I don't want to eat. I'm like, you got to, it's keep going, keep doing the next thing.
Brian, this sounds great.
And it's
Like
incredibly hard.
it's super hard. Yeah, this sounds great. The way you explain that. Okay, let's create the wall. This is different wall. This is different wall. But this is physical thing. How I can implement in my life
Right.
because if one thing happen bad, it affect my everything. So based on your experience, how can I create that wall?
And so what I've learned over life is like, so something bad, something I did didn't go right. It doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about it, but I'm just like, I start realizing I didn't have enough knowledge. I didn't understand the problem well enough. I don't get frustrated with the outcome. The outcome gives me feedback. And so it's like, okay, how do I do that differently? And what in my life I've often found out, it's usually like 3 weeks later, I'll go, and so, but if I sit there and go, you can't sometimes force a situation. You have to wait till some other thing occurs and you go, that could solve this other problem. So I have a long list of things in my life where I need to solve and I'm frustrated with. But I realize that I don't have the right tools to do it. And so I learned I'm not just because this didn't go well. It doesn't mean that I'm not sad about what didn't go well, but like, how do I change it? What do I need to do? And I lean into it with a sense of without, when you get, I've learned in my life, if I get frustrated, I'm not better. And so I've learned to like, how do I do it in a neutral way? And there's another psychology theory. If you're doing something you don't know how to do, you have to be as calm as you can be.
Okay.
If you know what you're doing, you can be really hyped up because you can go faster and do all these things about. If you've ever seen people do the Rubik's cube really fast, like these, it's solved in 3 seconds or something. Like how in the, but they can be hyped up because they know what they're doing. For me, it's like, how do I turn the thing? Like, I mean, if I get frustrated, I give up versus, okay, let me learn from this. The more you get frustrated, the more you stop. And so I've learned that what fights against me is my own emotion. And so if I get emotional, but I also realize I'm emotional, so I need to take a step away versus people make the mistake of, I'm really frustrated. I'll keep doing this and get madder and madder at this. I feel a point like, I've learned, don't throw anything, don't break anything. I used to. And it was like, just walk away and take a breath, go to the bathroom, get a drink, sit away, like, am I ready for this? Can I solve this? Why is this not working? And okay, I'll try this again tomorrow when I'm not frustrated. I realize the more frustrated I get, the less efficient I am.
But at that moment, the question comes: am I giving up with the situation?
Doing something you can't do over and over, it's worse than not giving. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm not letting go. I'm delaying. I'm going, this is going to be, I'll
Okay.
solve this. Like this morning, there's some water in my fridge. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Why is this happening? I'm like, clean it. I'll think through in my mind why this will be. I'll go tonight. I'll look at this. I'll see what's going on. I'll figure it out. And so there's more of a patience that it's not. One of the things that helped me a long time is it important and is it relevant? If it's important, I'm not going to give up on it. But if it's like I have to solve this in 10 years from now, like, okay, I don't need to do it right now. People make the mistake of everything's urgent. It isn't. When is this really, really, really due? If it's due in an hour, then what? We're going to get through our frustration and get it done. But if it's like most people, I have to get this done tonight. Do you have to get it done tonight? No. It's like then let's be realistic. But people put artificial deadlines on themselves, which gets them more. Again, when you get aggravated or energized or aroused, you don't perform as well.
Wait, you say you have to get this by done by this right now. Like me, I know there are a lot of people. Like I'm very impatient. I need to be like millionaire, billionaire in just couple of years, 2 years. So what do you think? What is the deadline in that topic?
Don't. Well, one of the old things is saying you want to focus on process, not outcomes. And a lot of people's goals are, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, that's great. But that isn't how you become a millionaire. Doing the stuff you're doing, I'm going to start this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to see how this goes. Don't worry about the out. If you do things really well, I always tell people, if you're a good like janitor, and you're really good at what you do, people will pay you lots of money because you're so good at what you do. If you're a tech person, you do it really well, they will pay you lots of money. Be a good tech person. The rewards are, I'm not saying you're not aware of it, but the rewards will come if you just do good things. Don't get caught up in outcome, get caught up in process. I want to be better at this. Someone will reward you for it.
Okay, so I think in the very beginning we talked about a little bit social media, and right now I'm in a lot of listener are listening the expert Brian, and now we see there are a lot of clarity in your thought. Like the way I am thinking, I'm like very much puzzled this and that, but you are breaking down everything.
Right.
And a lot of people are going to listen this and they will think, oh, Brian is like this muscular. Why I'm not that muscular in my life? And again, this is going to bring another anxiety. Right now, I'm thinking, why? Why I'm not like you? So you were also, however, you are explaining the things, you are making the walls and these other things. You were so good from the beginning, or how did you learn that? Or you were like so this good in from the beginning?
So when I oftentimes say this to students, because sometimes they'll have a great parent, and they'll like, oh, my dad or my mom is so successful. And I'm like, you didn't know your mom when they were 20 years old. You know your mom now. You know me right now at 56 years old. You don't know me when I was 26 years old or 19 years old. I wasn't like this. And so part of this is if you look at, there's this long journey and it's every day is getting better. You're just trying to like, how do I get a little bit better today? A little, you can't, major jumps don't do it for people. It's like, it's a spot like exercise. You can't go and exercise really intensely one day and be in shape. You've got to just do this over and over and over. And so I always tell people this, what I'm saying right now is my religion. I have to practice it. I have to have faith in it. And there's days I really question it. And trust me, if people know me, go, he doesn't sound, this isn't how he is all the time. And yes, I'm not. And so I try to go, how do I get better at this? And so bizarrely, one of the things that taught me the most emotional control is a weird story. I'm not sure why I'm sharing this with you, but I used to have two dogs. And one dog had no shame, and the other dog had all the shame in the world. And so my one dog with no shame would ruin my house, would do weird things. I'd walk in the house and I'd go, what did you do? And my dog who had shame, who did nothing, would pee on the floor because dogs on their submissive pee. And the dog goes, I'm really sorry. And so I realized I had to be emotionally in control or I'm going to have people pee on the floor on me. And so I realized when I walk in, even when I walked in, I'm like, oh, you completely ripped apart the couch and like, hey, let's go outside, hey. And I look at, I get the one dog go, yeah, and I grab the other dog and go, you go out. Because I know if I yelled, that other dog would pee. And so I learned don't react because if I reacted, I got penalized really quickly. And so then that carried over to being a dad. I was like, is it worth, like, what is this? Am I going to scare you? How do I hold on to this? There's like, being a good dad is like, at some point I'll have this conversation with you. Right now, this is probably not the time. And so picking the spots, because I know if I brought it up, then I'd have a door slammed on me. And then I wouldn't have my goal was to have the conversation, not to have the answer right then. And so I learned a lot of patience out of dogs peeing on my floor. And so
That's
if you ever want to
interesting.
learn, have a dog that pees every time you yell. And it was even funnier was like, I'm a sports fan. I know it was on your little list of things are there. I get very passionate watching sports and I realized I could not be passionate watching sports because my dogs would be confused by my enjoyment of a game or frustration and them thinking it was their fault.